Okay, helps if you actually start the actual screen to you're going to stream. Can't just sit there watching chat all day. Hello, all. Hope you're well. Um, Welcome in. I had um I had an idea of what I wanted to do today, and then last night before bed, I checked things out, and things seem to be working. So I'm like, I might have finished that piece of work already. So we might have a bit of a different stream of me trying to get some tests and stuff in place to tighten up some of these things. But we'll see. So what I was testing before I went away is basically this in progress. This isn't draggable, right? This is not um, a traditional Kanban style. This is um, to indicate where things sit. Duka, hello, how you doing? The idea being that once a deliverable has had tasks assigned to it, that's interesting. One needs tasks. One requirement. One needs tasks. It's got a task. You might have to tighten that up a little bit. Um, but either way, the idea is that this board indicates to you where deliverables sit. Right, so it's kind of a dashboard just for deliverables. This is the dashboard for the entire progress of the implementation thing. But this is, hey, the goal of this screen is, hey, development team, there's things for you to review, there's things that are with you, and there's things you've actually started and are in progress. So you as a team can also see at a glance what is actually in flow from a deliverables perspective. The backlog, things are removed from the backlog once they're in progress, so you don't see them in here, which is fine. And obviously when it's in here. Now, this particular one, I was testing to see if I implemented it moving back. It's probably good that it doesn't move back. But basically, once you drag a interesting, did that crash? Did that? How did that do that? That shouldn't have ignored that action. That should have saved that entirely. We might have what things to look at. But basically, the concept there is one of um, that an error. That just didn't. So that will probably shift itself over once it gets around. Once it does the round trip, that'll probably shift itself over. There you go. Okay, there you go. It did update. So that was because the server updated and said, "Hey, by the way, this the status of this changed. Refresh it," and it moved it over itself. So, so that's interesting. Well, that means that by default doesn't get moved. The status doesn't get updated when that thing changes. So I'll have to take a look at that. But either way, once this moves to in progress, this moves to in progress, and now you can't move it back, right? Or can you? If I move everything out of in progress, now that now doesn't update. Interesting. Hold on. So is that? Hold on. If I put that ready for development and move that there, that'll that'll not change until it updates in a second. Um, we'll just keep an eye on the screen because when it came back, it was moved. So that should move there. There you go. Because that's a Phil Stanmore, hello. How you doing? That's a signal or event that's saying, hey, by the way, this thing changed. You might want to do something with it. So you have vacation. You're allowed that? You couldn't be sleeping. Yeah. Vacation, imagine. Um, yeah, in this economy. Oh, that's not good. That's very not good. Storm projects. Liquid sky. Bottom. Um, ports. So I'm just asking a question of Claude to just review that while I'm looking at this other stuff. So there you go. That is what triggers that. So when that's with development, that needs to have tasks attached. When it's in progress, the task doesn't show. Okay. Um, what I'm trying to evaluate is how far along do I want this to be before I say this particular thing is done. So this branch was always deliverable in progress, right? Their goal was to show that the deliverable was moved to in progress, so we could yeah. Uh, yeah, I need to get that email. So we've got a few hours left. Okay. Um, I the idea of being replaced by AI is both awful and amusing at the same time. Like we're not replaced. We are uh, our skill is not replaced. That got to figure out how to do. I've got a script running Claude on the remote machine, and I keep missing the part where it saves the auth code. So I end up with having to log in every time I open Claude. I can imagine that I can be replaced by AI when I drive the AI. Yeah. So okay. So needs tasks is a with development thing. Um, the assumption being that the development team can add tasks to it. That might be something I'll review later. So testing project, one requirement, different wrinkle. If I go to planning backlog, now I can still add here, but I don't think that should be possible. I think we need to. Um, should you be able to add requirements uh, and definitions to a deliverable if it's already marked in progress? I think you should be prevented from doing that. I think that would be bad to allow it. I think I do need to end up with an ability to move it back. So if we decide, you know what, this deliverable is not um, this deliverable is not I'm 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 debating um I'm debating the being opinionated about how things should work. Like, should you take something to with development if it's not actually ready? Um, but things get discovered as you're going. We all do that, right? Sometimes you discover something, and is it right to say no? Let's reject the entire deliverable when a piece of work needs to be added. But if you're missing an entire requirement, though, that's a whole different thing, right? That's not a tiny little thing. So how do I how do I juggle that? The important question is, do the people in charge of headcount believe I can replace? Well, that's kind of where I was going before, for example. It's not necessarily can you be replaced, it's they think you can be replaced with it. Um, yeah. But your skill, your experience and your knowledge are not replaceable by a computer. It's both there and not there. Hmm. So I'm weighing up my my opinionated approach to this versus my pragmatic, realistic approach of understanding that sometimes things get missed. Yeah, that's actually true. So I learned from that. You need to teach the people in charge that AI is bullshit right now and can't easily replace people. Just boost them when they know what to do. Well, we need to get into the world where they let us use the tool again. It becomes a tool to aid us, not a tool to replace us. And I think that's the key there. We need to take ownership of that again, like we would. Like, management doesn't often tell us, hey, you use Rider or use Visual Studio or use IntelliJ, etc. They don't tell us, oh, use that testing library or that testing library. AI has become use that, and that's not the best way to use it. The best way to use it is let the people who understand what to do with it. Yes, it's an increased cost, but it can massively improve what they can produce, given their talent and their experience. But it doesn't necessarily um, replace. So we should be allowed to use it as a tool again, not as a replacement for us. Okay. I confirmed the bug and traced the exact root cause. Let me check scope with diagnosis. Your instinct is right on both counts, but the mechanism is specific. The drag does update local state correctly. The problem is that re-entering the board refetches from the server every time and re-merge enriched in task store as its merge order reversed. It spreads server entity last, so a stale server response overwrites your confirmed local status. It's sibling methods. Uh, uh, can you like what I'm doing now? I'm using this to review this code to tell me about the greater picture of it based upon questions, so I don't have to go and dig into the code. That is a great use of this because it can point me in a different direction. So I'm asking it, can you tell me if that's a consistent or inconsistent behavior? Because I don't want to correct something that's a consistent behavior. I think it's an inconsistent one, um, but I need to verify that. What will be your advice for a developer with 2 years of experience in .NET? I mean, for career progress. Um, right now, uh, my advice would be make sure you keep abreast of what LLMs and AI tools mean for what you're doing. Don't necessarily rely upon them. Definitely continue to build your skill, still develop software, um, practice the balance of using the tools to keeping your understanding and learning there. Um, because I think there's going to be a point at which um, developers who can show that they have a skill for coding at the same time as being able to use the AI tools. I think it just slots in as a resume. Hey, extensive experience with agentic development or whatever. I think it just becomes another tagline that says, "Hey, this developer can do these things. They've developed these things." So I would definitely say, do not ignore this um, to help it improve your skill set and build more knowledge, uh, probably quicker than it's ever been possible. I would definitely go that path because employers are going to want developers who can use these tools effectively. Um, I don't know. I contemplated the retire early from development and become something else, like change career switch, not necessarily retirement, but a career switch a few times. I think it's definitely something that if employers do not um, realize that the tool is just another tool and can help their developers become better and make better code, I think that we are in trouble. I think there'll be fewer jobs to go to. But definitely do not let your skill sets stagnate. Do not just become reliant upon these tools to develop everything. If you want to be a developer first. Um, uh, that would be kind of my advice at this point. What I'm doing right now is I've just got Claude working on a review of this before I proceed. There's a few things I want to tighten up. Open course farm. Uh, I think it's scary how fast some software can be created now. Not to high quality, but you don't. But as years and years and years of looking at software has proven, good quality code does not necessarily mean that you can't have a good product to the outside, right? It's a personal thing, taking care and attention on these things. It's both consistent and inconsistent. And is what pins it down. Bulk, possibly stale reads, low from server. Okay. Here's called. I wanted what you said. The drag itself is correct. Optimistic update works. Re-entering the board always refetches. Merge enrich has reversed merge precedence. Yes. This is the opposite of its sibling methods because if merge enrich spreads server entity last, stale server. That's not what I asked. Here we go. Is it consistent with the rest of the app? Okay. Farming is hard work. um, possibly stale subset red. Spin. The purpose here, by the way, is a an optimistic update, right? So when I change something, I update the local entity, and then I hold that local entity. So as you navigate around, things still look the same. But when the server comes back and says, "Yeah, I got that thing," we just update it and refresh it in there. So if something else changed along the way, it will update itself in there. But if we go to a screen and load from the server, we shouldn't take um, everything from the server because it's from the server. We can't trust it because we might have something more locally. So what this is saying is, hey, go through and update the merge to say take local first and merge server in. Um, Run the app on the sprint board, drag a task when you call them, confirm it moves in success. Immediately navigate and back before the end back end remodel updates. Yes, and use auto mode. Nice. Um, I will be streaming a little bit more consistently for several weeks. There's nothing on Tuesdays that I know of. Yeah, how you doing? So yeah, I will be doing. I do plan to stream my Tuesday, Thursday streams for quite a while now, at least until yeah. I don't think anything's coming up. So yeah, I think at least until September, late September at the very latest. So yeah, it should be good. So I'm just going to let that update to get that working. Again, all part of this process. So now I still have this question of do I want to deal with pulling this back there? Like you can't change it, right? It's not I've not been streaming consistently, so yeah, I appreciate you coming in. Um yeah, I finally got the machine set up. So now I am actually set up for remote development. So I actually do have a MacBook. I can sit and code on my MacBook and sit and code on the PC, and it works perfectly. So that's been a really good change for me to enable me to work on lower powered machines. Yeah. No one asked me, of course, but I'm writing a distance field generator from bitmap images.net. Oh wow. You're always happy, always welcome to share for your sample. If you ever want to show stuff off as well, there is a Discord. If you're interested in joining there, you can. I don't think you'd join the Discord, but you're always welcome to share your projects in there. Always interested to see other people's stuff. I learned that image sharp now requires a license value. Like, oh, that's a bit mean. Okay, so that did its job. Okay, so we can go to the boards. We should be able to go to here. We should be able to drag that to in progress. We should be able to go back there, and we should be able to do that, and that should still be there. We go. Okay, so we fixed that one. So we do have a little bit more consistency there. Apparently, I did a few more updates. Oh, it updated the signal store guide. So this is the guide on how signal stores work. So I've created an instruction that says, okay, well, because signal stores are still a bit of a myth to me, I have to. I want to make sure that the patterns are documented so I can still read through them and understand. Uh, Not a myth, a mystery. So it did update the documents appropriately, which is also good. Stoney, hello. Welcome in. So if someone wants to contribute to my program now, they need to request their personal license key. I dislike doing that with projects. It like even when we were doing developer stream, I didn't want to pick a UI library that required a license, even if it was a free one, because it requires that person to have to go and get a license. And if they don't like that, then they won't contribute. So it's an immediate turn off for that. Get paid and they deserve, but to me, I think one of the key benefits as well is that you can have a lot of license tasks. Yeah, it's yeah. I think making it harder to do that sort of stuff is just, especially with the world of AI, is people are just going to create mimic libraries, which is going to take that open source code anyway, and rebuild it. So I think you really run the risk of kind of diluting things there. We have 450 dependencies at work. If we need 450 license files to compile our project, that would yeah, 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 that would be annoying. So that's that. Oh, that's not, that's deliverable. Initiative entity store. That's that. These are entity stores. Um, merge your page into account local state. Yeah, the entire job. I need to remember the setting. Mojo told me the setting. There's a setting that stops. I don't know why WebStorm does it and Rider doesn't, but there's a setting that stops WebStorm from leaving the message there. So you'd have to wipe it out every time. I have to remember to ask that again. So this one is the deliverable. Okay. I suggested NuGet should support me uploading an SBO and money, and they distribute the money. It's not a bad idea. If you contribute to all those projects. Yeah, that'd be a good idea, I suppose, for the open source project. Like it's like Mediator, I use extensively in this, and others I use extensively. It would be nice to be able to contribute something, even if it's only a little bit every month, to keep that moving. Autism, hello, and Snail Kitty, hello. How you doing? Welcome in. Hope you are well. Okay, so we have that fixed. I'm just procrastinating now, by the way, because I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this. Do I call this done in its current form, or do I kind of continue tweaking? This is the problem of having open-ended development, right? This is the natural 2D. You ever thought about going into machine learning and Gen AI and all that? Focusing on it? No. It's, my brain is not that big. This is where I'm happiest. And if it was my job, if that was the route my career took, yeah, absolutely. But on a side project stuff, no. I don't have two. Scott Hanselman's point. I only have so many keystrokes, right? My life is only so many keystrokes, and I want to use them building things I know how to build and want to build. So I think it's very important to find something that you care about and develop that. And the whole Gen AI and machine learning stuff is fascinating. I think there's just way smarter people doing that than I. So yeah. So just for reference, by the way, this is kind of a planning item that I am looking. This is what I'm trying to build, right? So this will be the next phase. The next phase is trying to implement the actual changes of the system. So this is what a real work item starts to look like, right? So here's the goal: introduce a facility for a user to receive an email summary daily, weekly of tasks created for a given deliverable, right? So that's the goal of this individual deliverable. So can we remove notification parameters? Can select to be notified? I need to introduce ordering as well. So there's some other things here. Can receive summary email. So this is the description, the acceptance criteria here. These are the acceptance criteria areas are just me adding them in. They're not actually a separate piece. But this is the kind of stuff I'm looking to do, to try and build real workable descriptions of here's what I want, and then the tasks will be built off of these things. So this is more of a sample of what I'm actually looking to build here. Do you use agents a lot at work to write code, like Claude Code? No. Well, I don't write a lot of code these days at work. But even when I do, I don't use it a lot. Like this workflow, I'm using it on the front end because it's quicker for me to use it on the front end. But on the back end, I'm happy writing the code myself. And even on the client side at work, I wouldn't be using AI. Yeah, and that's the key, right? Right now, I've kind of lost track of some of this stuff because it's been built that way. But yeah. I'm also trying to build project management app. Nice. Those looks pretty advanced. There's a couple of years of development in this. So, Obsidian. I installed it, I'm sure. Yep, I installed it. We've got the diagram. So Kaizu, which is what this is this is Kaizu. So Kaizu is Control Tower plus Liquid Sky. So when you see Liquid Sky, that's the backend pieces. So this is a distributed system, lots of microservices, lots of technology, buzzwords everywhere. So yeah, it is quite a large thing. At this point, it does support, you can create an initiative. Initiative has deliverables. Deliverables have requirements, and then requirements have tasks, and you work on requirements, on tasks. So developers work on tasks, whatever. Many teams can contribute to an individual deliverable. So a deliverable is not based upon a team. A deliverable is aligned to a project, which actually I'm rethinking at this point because it's assigned project. So a deliverable is assigned to many projects. Sorry, and then the tasks are created. So if you have DevOps and development and DBA tasks against a single deliverable, they can still remain 3 teams with their just specific tasks focused on them. So deliverables are there. And then from a delivery pipeline perspective, you can create a release. You can assign tasks to a release. Let's do release Q3 2026. I am the owner, Jeffrey Winkle, and the target release date is September 1st. So create the release. That goes into a defining state. And we can add tasks. And right now we only have 1 task to worry about because that's the only one in progress. We can add that to release, and now that is going to be part of that release. So we know that the release is not available because that's still in progress. So yeah. GitHub is integrated. So yeah, there's a GitHub connection. So if I do a branch or a PR, GitHub will show. So if I go in here, it will show me an area that says branched or whatever. So there is a GitHub integration. GitLab would come later. But yeah, there's a full GitHub integration. So it'll show you in the delivery management. It will show you if this is merged or it's an open PR, and you can link to it and jump to that thing. So yeah, there you go. So there's a lot there. There's a lot more than I realize at times. So okay, we go back to here. I think right now, if you're ever interested in asking more, if you want to ask more questions, you're more than welcome to ask questions. The stream is not about me developing. The stream is about me sharing development and discussion about development. So I'm happy to talk about it on stream. If you are interested in learning more about it, if you want to know, what technology they used or you want to ask more in general, there is a Discord linked in the cards below. You're more than welcome to join and share your own project if you want to. I'm happy to talk through it. Project management to me is something that um, is it should be a little opinionated. It should drive a process rather than accept any process. And it really should be focused on delivery, not on, you know, fitting within some expected bounds of, and I just said, I'm opinionated on it. But what I mean is, I want to be able to indicate, um, here's the work we're doing, here's the work we delivered. That's what we ultimately care about. We don't care about a lot of uh, form around, oh, well, a story must have this and a story must be this. What we care about is, hey, business wants to see this, developers need to see this. Where do those two align? And that's kind of what deliverables represent to me. Is this is the business side of it, and again, initiatives are the higher business side. Here's the initiative. Here's where the things stand. The product management teams, etc. This is where they care about things because they're relaying what they expect for people. This is where they're defining what they want to see, and then the implementation, the developers, they don't care about this necessarily. They care about it for reference, but ultimately they care about the tasks attached to those requirements. So, that's what I care about. Git GitLab sounds like clips for GitHub. Morning, Mojo. So yeah, to me it's about getting to this point, right? Can we deliver software? And that's all it should be about. So um, clipping. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, if Snailkit, if you're interested, if you want to show your stuff, if you have links to your stuff, you're more than you won't be able to paste them in this chat, but you can always share them in Discord. Okay. Um, so like I said, I thought that I would be doing more in terms of code today, because I thought that there was still a lot of things missing, but it turns out there weren't. I was just trying to get to the point of having things stable. So the way this works, let me go into this a bit. So the idea here is that when we have a deliverable, so as a developer, I see the screen, and now I only see deliverables in here that are relevant for me as a developer, not for everybody. So if there's 10 projects, and I'm only attached to one project, I'll only see the deliverables for that one piece, right? Now, if that deliverable spans multiple projects, everyone on those projects would see it, and a team is associated to one or many projects. So I'll see the deliverable. Um, I can then know it's ready for review. Ready for review means, hey, I can go and read that. I can look through the requirements. I can ask questions. I can dig in a little bit more. I might be able to do some research on some stuff to be ready for planning. And then at the point where they're comfortable, the PM would call a planning meeting to review that thing, and the team will go through it and decide, oh yeah, we can test it out. And once they're comfortable, the PM can mark it as with development. Right? So it moves to this. So we know that this is something that we can actually work on, and discuss properly. And the idea being that the PM can go in here and know that it's sat there, right? And the PM can see that there'll be a in progress board. This will move into this, right? So maybe that's what I do. I mean, I finish this off with this screen rather than that. But yeah, the intent is to be visible at all times without having to ask questions, without having to chase up with people, and do all that fun stuff. So, um, yeah. Snail Kitty, thank you for the follow. I apologize. I'm getting used to the layout in my OBS at this point. I don't like chasing people. I think, well, physically or otherwise, no, I don't like chasing people. But I think that if you have to waste time in an organization, um, uh, trying to follow up with people, trying to figure out where things sit all the time, it wastes so much effort and energy that it's just not worth it. So that's a lot of what's driving this. I did get the diagram, so we're good. We're happy there. So the way this works is when a task is updated. This is one of the first links of these two things. So tasks lives in here, and uh, planning owns deliverables. So deliverable is a planning item, and a task is a work item. So this is one of the first links of these two things. So when a task is updated, an event is published to Kafka, right? An integration event is published to Kafka. Hey, this task is this state now, right? The view picks that up because it needs to deal with it, but the organization management also receives that. No, it doesn't. Not organization management. Organization management does not receive it. Planning receives it. Task receiver. So if there's no requirement attached to that task, which means it can't possibly be on a deliverable, then it ignores it. Or if it's not in progress, it ignores it because it doesn't. Because again, this is what I was checking before. If I move it back to, if I move all the tasks out of in progress, should a deliverable shift back to with development? It's a little harder to deal with because every time I update a task, I have to check all the tasks. And if this is missing a task, does it mean that it moves it back? So yeah, it might be a manual thing. We move it back. But either way, if this task is not in progress or it's not got a requirement identifier, then we just skip it out. Otherwise, we update this task. So we do update task details is going to be, that's interesting. I can't find it. Interesting. Might have a thing there. So we literally update the task to the deliverable, right? So we're using the deliverable. We pull the deliverable for that requirement back, and we requirement. Sorry, it's a requirement. We pull the requirement for that task, but the deliverable back, and we attach the task. I'm not checking anything here. If I update and our version is newer, so if we get an old message, we won't update this one, right? So we don't. If we move it into a state in progress, then we move it back, or then we move it to another state. But we get the old message out of sequence, then it'll just ignore it. It'll only take the last one it's got, the highest one it's got. So, yeah, it will ignore anything else. And when that happens, we publish a task was updated. The task was updated is actually what moves the deliverable, right? So, that task was updated event only happens when that task has been saved to the database. So we know we're in a safer state. We get the task, and then if any task associated with that deliverable is in progress, then we set the deliverable as in progress, right? So that's what this does. This notification handler will literally just send the command to set deliverable in progress, and then when we set as in progress, we update that, which then publishes an integration event and changes the deliverable. So there's a chain reaction of behavior there, but it does capture these things. So yeah, so the system complexity is individually kind of low, but the overall flow is a little harder. And I'm going to have to work on documenting them. And I actually started documenting out some of the flows. So the onboarding of GitHub looks like this, right? Because I was stuck on where I was missing pieces when I went to the remote development system. There's a few things in there that change. GitHub integration isn't actually that difficult. There is a library to use that's good. Snail Kitty, if you've not got to that part yet, it's not super difficult. My system makes it a little bit harder, being that everything's distributed. But yeah, it's, so I am starting to document workflows because that's a simple one. But I'm trying to make sure that I try to document some of these things out, because the bigger the system gets, the more difficult this gets to actually fit in my brain all in one go. So I think I'm going to leave that alone for right now. I think that's one where I'm going to gather opinions for before I'm going to see what the opinions are on that before I actually change anything there. I think for right now it does exactly what it should do, which is moves it to in progress, and now we can't shift it back because we're working on it. It's a committed state. Okay, so let's and if you are new to the stream, if you've not been here before, if you have questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to share, good or bad. You are happy to talk about what I'm doing. So yeah, what I'm trying to just figure out is, why does that show there? Actually, why does that show there now? If I refresh, does that still show? Yeah. So needs tasks. Interesting. So when that's in progress, that doesn't show needs tasks. When it's with development or ready for development, it does show needs tasks, which is fine. No, I'm not gonna focus on something tiny like that right a second. What I'm trying to get to in the next couple of days, by the way, is I want to work on this. So this is a big part of what I envisioned when I built this system. So this watch button right now, if I click on watch, notifications disabled for this deliverable. If I want to enable notifications, I can say when the status changes, include the parameters. So if the status changes from defining to planning, then I care. Otherwise, don't tell me, right? So I can add that notification. However, I also want to be able to say, how do I want to be notified? Because right now that's a push notification and actually doesn't have anything in the screen. So that's why I'm not worried about adding that right a second. But what I want to be able to do is say, hey, I want to be told on a weekly or daily basis how many tasks have been created for a deliverable, right? Give me that number. So I want to build out this structure of understanding those parameters. So similar way, I want to be able to go in here, enable this, and say, yeah, I want to be told about stuff, and I want to be able to say task count. And these are going to be coded. There's no way of making these dynamic. It's just not something I want to even try and get my brain around how I might do it dynamically. And it's not a reporting tool in so much as there's some usability here, right? I want to be told when tasks are created for this thing, right? I want a summary to see if tasks are being created on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And you might want to watch it for a little while. You might want to, you might want to mute it or whatever. So you click in here, and then you'd be not only include parameters, but you'd be asked, how do you want to be notified, right? Email or notification or push notification, etc. And you could add. The problem is here right now. This is very much you have one notification. Yeah, I mean, we could add carrier pigeon. Yeah, that's perfectly viable. So right now it's like you have a notification um, overall, but I want to create multiple notification channels in here. So you should be able to say, hey, I want a push notification on when the status changes, and it changes to defining, right? IP diagrams of alien carriers. Nice. We have a RFC for it, so yeah, we can follow it. Awesome. So yeah, you can add this in, but these are kind of parameters of notification, right? They're not. So what I want to say is, okay, I want to be told when the status changes, but I also want to say when the status. I want a daily summary of status on this thing or whatever. I want an email saying, "Hey, the status has changed" or whatever. Um, so I want some ability to say, add notifications in, not just have parameters and that. So um, right now we have watch as the only option for notifications, but the intention of the system overall is that we should be able to keep an eye on everything we want in whatever ways we want. Watch should be replaced with a notifications button. On clicking new button, we should be presented with a screen for listing the current user's notifications. We should be able to add we should be able to define a notification inline by adding a new notification. Select tasks added as an event. Select daily as frequency, and the email as notification. So we instead of just being a field to watch, I want to be able to say add an event. What thing am I looking for as well, right? So we can kind of add in extra things. So field change um, would be this would be a type of event, right? So we'd say field change, which field do you want to watch, status, etc. So we build them out. But those are built as actual individual components, so I can flex them and change how they do it. Ultimately, they say, hey, here's a field I want to watch. Here's the parameters of that field. So basically, loading up this, and then I want to deal with an email in this case. There is structure in place for this. There's a notifications and communications piece. There's these have listeners already. Two changes. These are actually currently listening. And yeah, so they actually are receiving events. I just need to add the events in for deliverables, for tasks, for everything else into the changes pipeline. Yeah. Yeah, this takes a deliverable right now. This is actually using Akka. So when a change is received, it will process it, and it can process many in parallel by kind of filtering out the messages, and I can scale that piece out independently. Oh, my mouse trolls then. So anyway, but this is what I want to get to. So let's not worry about that for right the second. Let's go here. I'm going to do something. In progress should not be shown in here. Do I make that a filter? I think getting the in progress thing is useful. Now, do I want to show a list in the same a table in the same way? Or do I want to show it in progress more that way? It's not really a board. But this shouldn't be here. This should be in here because it's actually in progress. I should be able to do some things to it, but I shouldn't be able to add requirements to an in progress. I remove, and I'm talking a lot because I'm thinking a lot about this, and I'm trying to make sure I'm validating my decisions. So apologies if all I'm doing is talking. However, if I remove the add button now, the decision to make sure you can't move this back here is very limiting. And requires that I allow something. Because if you miss a requirement and I say, no, it's in progress, you can't add requirements, then it creates a mess because then new deliverables have to be created that add on the requirements to the others, and then you have to track those. So it creates more process. And that's what people will do. People will create process around that. So if I leave add as an option there, then at least a user is able to circumvent that limitation if it's a problem without breaking the overall system and the design. It just means that you added a deliverable. I think, again, that would be something that would be a metric to keep in track as well. That would be like how many deliverables were created that were requirements were added post release, post in development. So do I want I don't think I want a grid. Not the backlog. Let's add a Frank. Good morning. Hope you're well. My apologies for missing your stream last week. Oh yeah, you can't shut out. Stoney, I didn't see the notification. The notifications are really weird when I'm in the OBS thing. Thank you for 7 streams. Impressive considering my infrequency. If you haven't followed Frank, I highly recommend doing so. Frank's stream is .NET stream as well. Mix of different projects, some AI pieces here and there. But Frank's stream is a really great place to hang out. And he streams a couple of times a week right now. So I highly recommend checking out Frank. Is that? No. It's office day today. I need to set a reminder for afterwards because that says I'm streaming at 720p. That is ridiculous. Yeah, okay. Reminder set. Surprised you didn't tell me, Stoney. How's the new setup? New setup's good. So it's working nicely. This is all running on the remote box. So all my development is running on station.local. I'm couldn't be happier. I've been able to switch to my laptop and do the same stuff, which is nice. Said you did not notice that my stream is in 720p. If anyone's going to say, "Oh, the quality looks poor," it would be you. If I'm up on a phone, in which case, then yeah, I suppose you wouldn't notice. It's practically over. Okay, so let's do this. Let's use. I did, but I thought it was intentional. No, it's not intentional. I don't know why. It's been set to 720p. That is frustrating as heck. Kaizu. Chat. 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 Okay. Let's do this. Yes. So I'm using Claude Design for some of this stuff. It is not intentional. The tools that I've set. So this is the new OBS setup, and yeah, it's yeah. You could be 30. Yes. Yeah. Professional. No, part time. Yes. Um. Say, one to create a screen for uh, in progress deliverables. Sit in. I don't think the grid works well for this. Um, we know gaming here. We save bandwidth to save our forests. Somebody has to do it. Yes, 1080 30 you wouldn't notice it anyway. 1080 15 you notice. I know that much. But 1080 30 you wouldn't really notice anything. Yeah, but that is weird that it's set up that way. So I will make a note to do that after. I think I saw that the other weekend and completely forgot about it. So yeah, I'm going to create a screen for in progress deliverables to fit in. I don't think the grid works well for this purpose. Can you propose some options for let's see, but TBD gamer. And when I game, I'll make sure that it says 60 frames. Wow. It's just, it's not. There's just not enough hours in a day, and weeks in the month, and months of the year to get everything I want to do in. Fine. Let's see what it proposes. Let's see what Core Design proposes here. So yeah, Core Design has done a pretty good job so far of some of this stuff. I'm happy with Core Design. Let's just say. Yeah. How's your racing practice going? Starting? Ready to race again yet? Well, I think this is very much in the vein of deliverables in progress, right? Being able to see this difference is kind of the final piece. We know that it's in progress, therefore it'll shift, it'll disappear from here and showing there, so they can see it. Okay, sounds good. Assuming we're talking about GT7, so I don't just want my buttocks kicked for no reason. Um, yeah. We'll have to come up with a mini championship so that we have enough kart racing in there to give you a chance. Um, yeah. I wish they added a new course or something. That'd be awesome. Come on, Claude. Do you think? One thing I've got to be careful of as I do this is that I'm not overcomplicating the UX. Right. That's something I've got to be mindful of. I'm trying to separate things out into being able to present enough information at all phases. Um, I think if we have the exact matching cards, that we would be more on equal footing. Okay, sounds good. Mojo, you should join the racing series. You tell me when, Stoney, and I'll make sure I can get stuff set up. Okay. Checking the design for issue. Why is it in a little map book? Oh, okay. Okay. But you have tweaked your cars way more than me. I have not. That's an outright lie. I have not tweaked them. Interesting. That one. That one. There we go. That's nice. Cockpit. Kind of like C. C's kind of my. C is definitely my lean-to style. Like that's the yeah, reporting best when reporting up. Someone asks how is notifications going rather than what is Jeffrey doing. Yeah, see what is Jeffrey doing. Okay, so we're gonna have a Mini Cooper race series. Any preferences from anybody else? Anything you? So Claude gave us 4 options here. So the Kanban style board would make sense if there was. So the deliverable doesn't really go to deliverable state. In progress and complete. So it can only go to complete from in progress right now. So that would be in progress and complete. It'd be 2 columns. So that wouldn't make much sense, right? This one's overly complicated, and that looks like a checklist that I'm going to be able to do. Context, etc. Not sure about. Not terrible. Team Kanban, but yeah, again, Kanban would be great if that I represented. So if I represented everything, so instead of just the backlog, I had everything that wasn't defining in there, maybe. That's actually funny that it's done that, because that's kind of what I originally had. If you remember, when I first designed this, I actually had this broken down by coming this week and whatever. So interesting that that's back there. The review date stuff still matters. I don't need to change much. I'm still representing No Mercy Gaming. Okay. Um, okay. So my natural lean is towards this one right a second, because I think it is more in line with everything else I do. This isn't bad, but it is needs attention due this week on track. That see, I do like now. I'm looking more at them. I'd be scrapping options, Steve, because of the padding and the badges. Yeah, aligning them to make sure. Yeah, not actually just dealing with them being different sizes. That's funny. Yeah, you are right there. Um, this I like because it does make sense because the idea of this is once it's in progress, right? I still should be able to set a review date, right? The review date should still be something I shift because I should say, oh well, it's in progress, but let's set the review date out to the 30th, right? So now that that's my next review. The problem I have right this second is this is I kind of linked a few concepts in play in here. So that's no longer at risk because it's high risk, is because it's got July 30th. It's within 7 days of the current time. So I've kind of linked these things, but once it's in progress, this doesn't matter as much because that review date now means when should I look at it next to check in on where things are. So the idea of the review date is a constant, hey, you need to do something about this and look at it. Um, so you can help the system remind you without actually setting any events or whatever. So the idea of having um, this is actually quite appealing, but I think it's a bit too noisy. It's not too much more, but that's the tasks. Can we combine the uh, urgency style of the yeah, Opus 5 medium? Hmm. Yeah, the extras in progress is killing me. We'll see what it generates now. It should do a yeah, either give me option E or it'll give me a brand new one that has that. So we'll go with that. Because I like the cleanliness of this, but I do like this. It makes sense because it then helps me at a glance as a product manager. If I go in here, I see these are the things you need to care about now. These are the things that you've got a while on. But here's all that's in progress, and here's where they are. So you can kind of get a view. Um, while that's working away, what I'll do is I'll look at the query for deliverables. Am I filtering it? I might be filtering it on the client. Yes, I am. Let's do that starts in 3 minutes. That's awkward. Option D. Option E. I like how it inserted option E after C, but then still got D. That's funny. Um, needs attention, so that's collapsible. it, got, it got rid of, it did what I said almost, but it just got rid of the surround. That's funny. Um, um, should it be a roll up though? Is that messier? Um, So Claude, I believe, has enough context. This isn't linked to my project in regular Claude, which would be awesome because that would mean that it'd have context of what a requirement is versus deliverable versus whatever. So that would be kind of fascinating if you could do that. But um, I'm adding native notifications to my clients. Nice. So you have OS level Android notifications. Uh, let's see if we can come up with something there. Yeah, web desktop and iOS. Nice. So those in the okay. No way I've come right at the end. Pretty much, Darren. I apologize. But we are close. We are close. So anything that's in these states, so defining, planning, ready for review are all backlogged. Um, I can move the state here, but once it goes to in progress, I can't change the state, right? So actually, that's interesting. I can change the state. I need to change that. That needs to go. I hereby start a petition for longer streams. You can start a petition. Um, well, that's my employment status changes. Let's uh, fingers crossed that doesn't happen for me. But um, I don't have the time, so longer streams are not an option. How should the not started filter behave? Uh, Not as an explicit exclude control today, but the backlogs data model already partly does this explicitly, and it's a small change. Default and toggle. Yeah. If your employment status changes, I'll be an unhappy camper. Yes. Which stage should count as excluded? And so is on. Uh, Not sure it's getting my drift there, but we'll find out. Okay, you got option F yet? Option E now rolls up requirements, not tasks. Each band reads N of M requirements signed off. Each row shows a requirement strip. So option E. Okay, I don't think you understood what that was, but okay. Uh, Yes, stacked accordions were the weak spot, so E has only one disclosure level. Bands, collapse, and rows are links that open the deliverable rather than what? Join the petition, peeps. um, interesting. Very interesting. So that's completely gone off the rails. I need to change that because these are deliverables, right? Uh, but you forget it was in the way. These are the deliverables, and these are the requirements for deliverable. Right, that's what that is. So, deliverable requirements. The idea is that you can see the requirements for a deliverable, and in progress on the planning, you would not want to see the tasks. Tasks don't matter to you. The progress against the requirements matters. So I need to give it more context. I think this is definitely a better version. I just think that what we probably need to do is not put the second collapse in there. These will be the deliverables, and then when you click on it, you get the detail. That last poll item is tempting. Not much dreams. Oh dear. I didn't see the poll created because I was in OBS. That's funny. You give a man a sword. That's how he uses it. So to finish up here, what I need to do is figure out what that. I think this is the view I want. I definitely think the needs attention due this week on track is good, and I think the deliverables are the things I want to show. Right, not the. I don't need the requirements of tasks. I can go into them. You knew what you signed up for when you handed me the sword. Yeah, I suppose. So I think this is useful information. I'm not sure about the progress bars on the top of those banners. I think the bounds of what we call needs attention due this week on tracker actually are still to be decided. It's still TBD in terms of I need to tweak how I'm measuring some of those things. Like is like need attention is that there's a review date on the deliverable, and it's overdue, like that one says, or is it there are a number of tasks attached to it, but none of them have moved to in progress for a certain amount of time, and therefore there's a higher risk that the review is going to be off. Because I think the review date is not a deadline. The review date is a when do I want to check in it next. There is no actual deadlines involved in this piece at this point. Due date is something that I'm trying to avoid. Um, However, I think risk definitely I think a due date, an expected delivery date, is necessary to evaluate risk properly, right? Because review date is when do you want to check on it next. So we might have to add that in to do more there. So for right now, the in progress might just be a simpler view of that. But that being said, it is 1:30. So that is me for today. Again, if you are interested in learning more about the software, if you want to talk more about things off stream, you're more than welcome to join the Discord. If you're new to the stream, you're always welcome to ask questions. Please follow if you are interested in seeing more of this. I will be returning on Thursday to continue more of this. I'm going to get a lot more of this done off stream to get that moving forward. But for now, I must trade out. There's only one person doing one person in my list. Is there any streamers that you would recommend that we go see? There's 25 of us apparently, so if Stoney had started his stream, we'd have gone over there. But apparently only his first cup of coffee. Yeah. Are there any streamers that you know of that we should go see? Otherwise, I think Dylan is the person we go raid. Dylan is the only one doing hacking on Pi, Herder, and side projects. So actually doing code stuff. Raiding from a dev stream into game dev stream is always a little bit tougher. It's a disconnect from what we're doing. So I like to try and raid into coding streams if I can. That sounds awful. App dev streams, not game dev streams. That sounds awful. Now that's longer streaming than you last watching. Okay, so with that, we'll go right over to Dylan again. I will be back on Thursday. Please say hi to Dylan. I got to raid and run because I got to go get breakfast. I've got a busy day ahead of me. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming hanging out. I appreciate it. And I will be back on Thursday with more of this. Actually, some coding on Thursday because now I know what I'm doing and I've got stuff working. We can make progress. So thank you for joining me. And I will see you next time.